Hello again, and welcome back to Rudy's 1/6 World for the next episode in our ongoing new figure showcase series, where I'll do a review/posing session with the newest addition of my collection. And today we're going back to the world of Gangsters Kingdom, and we'll be looking at the Four of Hearts, which is actually the first 2-pack we've gotten from the set and the series. And this was one of the hardest pieces for me to actually track down, and I did have to pay a nice amount, but I had to have them, and they are Vincent and Kerr, who clearly are based on Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield from the iconic Quentin Tarantino film Pulp Fiction. So, for those new to this line from Damtoys, what they do is take famous celebrities, be it actors, directors, athletes, and sometimes they even take characters from movies like they've done here, and they give you some hyper-stylized figures that fit in nicely in this ongoing narrative they've developed with 4 gangs all vying to be the top gang. So they've made a nice playground to let themselves have some artistic freedom in creating figures they might want to do that would come across otherwise as potentially one-offs. As far as the story that comes with the figures, because Damtoys does give us a nice narrative to provide some insight into the characters, basically the Hart family is plagued with internal strife, and 2 rival families within the Hart gang rise to prominence, and both of these men represent one of each of these families and have earned the Four of Hearts designation. As far as the story, one of the bookkeepers for the Hart family has been killed and a safe with gold bars has been stolen. So Vincent and Kerr are dispatched to retrieve it, and of course Ogier, one of our main characters, makes a small appearance at the end. So I think I said this before with this series. It's not a complete story, but it's just enough to give us some insight into the characters, and from there your imagination can run wild. So as we always do, let's take a full look at the entire set with everything that's included. And besides the 2 figures, you do get a bunch of weapons and accessories, although the highlight here has to be the full safe you're getting, along with the trays and all the items that are meant to be housed within. One thing I will say for this Damtoys line so far for the main figures, I haven't felt like Damtoys has skimped out on the accessories, and this one is clearly no different. Having 2 figures could have been enough by itself, but Damtoys went above and beyond. So because these 2 figures are meant to be a team, and because they're from such an iconic film, I am going to continue to look at both together. So let's look closer at the items included with the set, and we'll start with the weapons. And first off, we're getting a nice modified G18 pistol with a working slide, and it comes with a fully removable 50-round clip, as well as a really interesting squared off suppressor, which I really like since it's fairly unique, and I think from a detail perspective it's amazingly well done, with the suppressor having the logo etched into the side as well as some nice silver accents, and that logo is also present at the tip of the silencer. And the gun itself is really nicely done. It could have been easily just a black piece of plastic, but Damtoys gave us a nice black grip with a gray slide and silver accents, so it really sets the gun apart a little bit and shows some care. And fully assembled, it's another unique piece, which is something nice Damtoys continues to do with these figures. Next up, you have an Ingram Mac 11, and this is another amazing piece with a removable clip, a folding stock, and just the detail work is again impressive. This gun in particular has a ton of printed details on the side of the gun identifying 1, the safety, and 2, the type of gun, caliber, and manufacturer. So again, Damtoys really bringing in their experience and showing us something special here. Throw in the large suppressor, and fully assembled, it's another nice piece that really sets these figures apart. Finally, you do get a 1911 that's done in a nice silver, gold, and white paint application, and it looks really good. I don't know if it's because it's a slightly smaller piece, but it doesn't have as fine detailing work as the other weapons in the set. But it does look great, and the paint apps help set it apart. Now this does look like the gun that Jules uses in the movie, so that is a nice touch, but I think Vincent also uses a similar one, so it would have been nice to get the 2 in the set. Next, you get a pair of additional hands for each figure, and unlike the more recent releases, Damtoys did provide pegs with these hands, which just makes swapping them out so much easier. And these look great with nice paint work on them and detail work, including the tattoos on the top of the hands. Some rings, and they're meant for specific applications, like one of Vincent's spare hands is specifically for holding a cigarette, and Kerr has a pointing hand too. Next up, you get a pair of nice watches for each figure, and they're done well with a printed sticker for the faces, but the bands are really nicely done and detailed, reflecting a nicer high-end piece with alternating gold and silver swatches. Again, nice piece that you won't really see much of once you've put it on the figure, but it's a nice addition that Damtoys had for us here. And you also do get a lit cigarette with a nice smoke effect. I really do like these pieces because, again, just by itself, even in a museum pose, it creates this illusion of movement and makes the figure seem a little bit more dynamic, and it's become sort of a standard piece that we get with a lot of these figures. So that brings us to the slew of accessories meant to live inside the safe, and Damtoys didn't skimp out here, as you can see. You start with stacks of bound $100 bills, and they're really nicely printed at small scale, both front and back, and every bill within the pack has the same print work. You also get a real metal chain that's supposed to resemble gold jewelry, 4 metal keys, 2 thumb drives in red and black, an extra ammo clip, and now originally I thought that might be meant for one of the guns, but it just doesn't fit with any, so I threw it in for the safe. And finally you get a bound book with leather-like material. I did open it to see if there's anything printed on the inside, but there's nothing. So it's just really meant to be kept closed, but overall a ton of nice, really detailed small pieces that the figures can also hold. Then you get the highlight piece, which is what Vincent and Kerr are looking for, and that's a black case with a fingerprint lock. And you do see the name of the case and the company embossed on top, with the slots for the fingers and for the fingerprint readers. So nice attention to detail, but it really pops when you open it and see the 3 gold bars within in the foam tray. They look great, not too shiny, but just realistic enough, and they have embossed text identifying gold and the weight. So beautiful, unique piece to this set that can also live in the safe. And that brings us to the safe itself, and it's a pretty big piece, and it does come with 2 trays and a bin that can also be placed within to hold the various assortment of items. And the door to the safe has some nice detail work for the combination lock and the handle. Only shame here is that the lock and the handle don't actually move, but if you open the door you can see that inside the safe you have slots to accommodate the trays, and you can see the locking pistons on the safe door. So really nice detail, and then in the final configuration with everything within, it really does look really nice. So I think it's a fairly unique item to be getting. But let's get into the figures now, because these are amazing. And let's start with Vincent, who is clearly based on the character Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction, as portrayed by John Travolta. And even though it's stylized, it looks amazing, and I do feel like this is a really good representation of how he appeared in the movie, with the longer hair and even the earring. Plus, they captured the very distinctive chin with the dimple. So lots of credit here to Damtoys, and needless to say, I love the expression on these figures, here with the furrowed brow, so definitely gives the figure a little more personality, and great likeness. As far as the suit, it's a little more stylized and fancy, and they picked a very shiny material as well. For Vincent, it does have a pattern, or at least the fabric isn't just solid black, instead having almost black pinstripes, black on black, so it looks nice. I will say I think it needs to be futzed around with a little bit just to fall more naturally on him, but really nicely done, as the clothing on these figures typically is. And the shoes are also really nice, with a nice decorative element added, which helps to set him apart from Kerr. Speaking of Kerr, let's look at his likeness, and like with Vincent, this is a really highly stylized version of Samuel L. Jackson's character from the movie, and it looks phenomenal. They recreated his hairstyle perfectly with some nice detailing and great paintwork, and I love the expression with the slight scowl and the open mouth, which very much goes with his character. So I'm really happy with both sculpts, and I think Damtoys did a great job here. Now, moving on to his clothing, again, you do have to play around with it a little bit. In particular with Kerr, I found that it was hard to get his tie to stay positioned higher on his neck and the collar, so that's something I'll need to work on. But beyond that, there's a nice pattern on his tie. The suit is also made from a shiny material, and it does include some textured lines as well, just that these are more diagonal, so it's a nice subtle difference to set him aside from Vincent. And then his shoes are also different, with some nice weathering and an almost brown hue at points. So overall, impressive set, and as is normal for us, let's discuss a little further as we look at some poses. And I started to do poses with each figure independently, but these two really do belong together, like I mentioned at the start of the video. I mean, they really just look great and pose well together. And I do think a lot of that is based on the nostalgia factor from Pulp Fiction. And it does feel like these two characters belong in this Gangsters Kingdom universe. So if they were ever going to pick a character or set of characters, this seemed like the obvious choice. I also love the weapons. Obviously the Mac 11 and the 1911 are throwbacks to the movie, but I like the unique Glock with the suppressor and 50-round clip. It's not something we've really seen too much of in the 1/6 world, so it's nice to get a really unique piece like that. Damtoys just, to me, with this line, continues to impress. You know, they really put a lot of effort into these figures, and there's a ton of detail work that goes into this particular line, with items like the safe and the contents they provided, as well as the weapons. I think my only regret is that I feel like they could have done a little more with the accessories. I think one of the most memorable moments from Pulp Fiction is when Sam Jackson is talking about his love for burgers and the Royale with cheese. You know, there's an intensity to that scene as he's just, you know, having that conversation and you know, spewing out those Quentin Tarantino lines. And it's just something that I think would have been a great accessory to get, like a partially eaten burger and a soda canister, right, to replicate those things. So I think those would have been great accessories, but not deal breakers, but definitely something nice to have seen here. But who knows, maybe I'll be able to find that somewhere. You know, I know sometimes you get some of these pieces in the most randoms of places. So I'll keep an eye out to see if I can add those to this set. But the figures, again, pose really nicely. Bodies are great with the double jointed elbows, so you really get a lot of flexibility, and they look great together. And like is always the case with this line, you really are only limited by your imagination. And like I said, these base bodies are highly posable, and they do have ratcheted joints, so they definitely hold their pose as well. So final thoughts on this set, it was without a doubt my most expensive Gangsters Kingdom pickup. Although I didn't wait and managed to scoop them up for a more reasonable price on eBay, but it was just one of the last pieces I needed to complete the line. I've basically got the entire set now. They're all sealed, so I'm going to be doing unboxings for all of the figures. But I just had to jump on these because these were the ones I was waiting for, you know, I was particularly excited for. So I'm glad to have them in my collection finally. And it does feel like one of the rare releases. But in hand, it's an impressive set. And hopefully the double pack is something Damtoys will revisit in the future because they just look great. So again, really happy with the pair. And the story... So we like I said, they are teasing 2 other characters, which I'm sure we haven't seen from Damtoys yet, but are coming up, and they're both family members of Vincent and Kerr. So I'm sure at some point those are going to be the next releases. Personally, I'm hoping for Ving Rhames at some point, but we'll see what we get. But that's about it. That's a quick look at this set. And as always, thank you for watching, and let me know your thoughts on these figures or this particular line, if any. And if you are enjoying the content, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll touch base on the next video.